Yes. Like that with honors.
Yes, ma'am.
My guest today is Sheri Mark, daughter of the business maven Florine Mark, who had the highest amount of franchisees of Weight Watchers in the Weight Watcher history. And we are here to talk about the legacy of your mother. You're the eldest
Yes.
of 5.
Yep.
And she was going back and forth to New York to a program called Weight Watchers.
Yes.
And after being a part of the program, she lost 50 pounds. What moved your mother, Florine Mark, to start the Michigan franchise of Weight Watchers?
You know, that was a time when women, you know, maybe you worked at the shoe store selling pantyhose, because I know that women weren't allowed to sell the shoes. But she saw this opportunity because there was nothing like it. And she was a very good speaker. She always loved to be on and you know, do things in the community, and luckily had the foresight and the entrepreneurial foresight to say, I'm going to start this here. I'm going to do this franchise. It was just starting in New York. She started it in a little synagogue on 7 Mile, and my mother was the lecturer. At that time it was called the lecturer, the leader. So it started with one class, and it really grew. You know, my mom was a very dynamic speaker, and so a very good motivator, and people would come, and it really was a good program. I don't like to call it a diet. She never liked to call it a diet. It was a very good program. And it's also, you know, it's a support group. You would come once a week, or more if you needed it, and you would be with other people. So everybody was supporting each other, and my mom loved that. She loved to put all these people together. And so that grew very quickly from that first class to many, many, many classes.
What inspired her to continue championing for women in leadership?
She was a leader and a businesswoman, a business leader at a time when women weren't allowed to. You know, she tried to borrow $5,000 to start the business here, and no bank would give her a loan because she was a woman. I think she just always felt that as a champion for women, you know, she always told us, as did my grandparents, that, you know, you can do anything you want to do if you try.
And she did so much, not only with Weight Watchers, not only with advocating for women, but she served on numerous boards. Mm-hmm. Where did she have the time to do it and give so much?
She always told me, and I'm sure my siblings, that you make time for what's important to you. I always learned that, you know, if I got up in the morning and I was healthy, I had to give back in some manner. And that's where I think all of her charitableness and chairing boards and making a difference. You know, she wanted to make a difference. And as a leader, you know, when you're on these boards, you make a difference. You're setting policy and you're doing great things, and I think that's where it all came from.
Were you encouraged, or your siblings encouraged, to follow in her footsteps, or to follow your own passions and purposes?
Everybody worked in the business. My siblings all worked in it one way or the other. Some of us, we all started at the bottom. We swept out centers, you know, Weight Watcher centers. We set up chairs. My grandmother was behind the scale, you know, I mean, so everybody, the whole family, which was wonderful. You know, it was wonderful. It provided like a really nice family business for everybody. We all took a part in decisions of it and things, even if you weren't, you know, working in there on a daily basis. My grandparents didn't have a lot of money, and so she didn't go to college, and she married young, and so this was her way of giving back and taking care of everybody. She now has, I think, 6 degrees from, you know, Wayne and Oakland and UAD and Lawrence Tech, and it's beautiful. She loved it. We would go with her. She was so honored to get those degrees. But she encouraged us. College was always a given. You went to college. So my one brother's a doctor. I'm a nurse and attorney. You know, my sister and her husband worked in the business. My other brother is an attorney. She encouraged us to go out and do and be successful in things that we felt were important to us.
How do you want the world to remember Florine Mark?
Oh, I want the world to remember her as a person with a really good heart, a motivator for not only women, but especially women, but women, men, children, you know, motivating people to go out and make a difference and to love your family every day. You know, her signature was love, 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 to fight for peace and be kind for people and good sense of community and give back. You know, you don't have to be really wealthy to make a difference in the world. You know, you really don't, whether you give a sandwich to a homeless person or whether you volunteer at a, you know, a forgotten harvest or something. I think her greatest accomplishment was her family, and she would tell you that. She loved having her family around. Her other, equally as important greatest accomplishment is being a woman entrepreneur and being that role model for women. The world and us, I think my mother considered everybody her family.
Watch One Detroit, Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.